Roger, give me that gun, Ron. Right along that back, baby. Aim hot. Clear hot.
Ladies, gents, how's it going? Random Gary here. If you don't know, I am a Gallantry Recipient from the British military. I left a number of years ago now. I was in the Royal Artillery. I did something called the Fire Support Team. So that meant that I coordinated the artillery, the mortars, attack helicopters. My team would coordinate airstrikes, precision weapon systems. We would create the big bangs on the battlefield. So today I'm going to do something slightly different. Once again, it is Danger Close, the Battle of Long Tan. This is the Aussies out in Australia, and this is some of the incidents that they experienced during the Battle of Long Tan, where they called in a number of Danger Close artillery missions. Now, for those of you out there who used to do my job or still doing my job, for obvious reasons, I'm not going to go into the specific details of everything here. This is going to be enough to give people who have no experience of calling this in an idea of what it is like to call it in, and some of the constraints, some of the concerns you have whenever you call this kind of stuff in. I'm not decritting this movie. I think this movie is fantastic. I think it paints a brilliant picture of the impact of joint fires on an enemy force that is superior in number. I think they've done an amazing job of bringing that to life. But I'm not a movie. People are coming here to hear some of this detailed stuff, and I can spend a little bit of time doing it. So we're gonna look at the Danger Close mission, where they basically request them to target on their location. I'm going to talk about the realities of it, what a Danger Close mission looks like in real life, and some of the concerns we have whenever we're calling this in.
11! On me!
I believe up to this point that they've had a prolonged engagement. I think this is one of the platoons out. I think it was 4-2 platoon. What they're doing now is something called the porpoise. So it's the piece after the battle where you reorg and you get your stuff together again. So you're basically making sure you've got protection, ammunition, your weapons. You know, it's all of these really simple stuff. You're just making sure that everybody's got what they need to do in order to fight should the enemy come back again straight away. Closing in, getting in defensive positions, all around defense.
Sound off! Ammo count! Hesselwood! Out! Magnuson, 1 round. Eglinton, about 10 rounds! Miller, I have 1 shot!
So you now have a completely ineffective fighting force. They've got, what was that, 15 rounds between them? 15 rounds between them. They've got multiple different weapon systems. So you've seen the belt-fed machine gun there. It looks like he's got an M16. A couple of the other ones had the FN FAL or the SLR. I'm not sure what variant. I'm not a weapon geek. So 7.62, 5.56, 7.62 belt-fed. They cannot distribute ammo effectively considering the numbers they have, and they're limited on choice. Now the boss has to decide what is his next course of action.
Three, 4, this is 4-2. We cannot move. Almost out of ammo. Request target on my location. Over.
This is 3-4.
So this is the fire controller. This is the job that I would be doing. He's back in a great position with the I think it's a company commander here. So he's back with the company commander, coordinating all of the joint fires.
Say again.
I need Sheldrake to drop on my position. Over.
He wants me to target his position.
So instead of doing a Danger Close mission, what he's asked for is for rounds to land on his position. I'll talk through it a little bit differently, well, what the differences are between the two in a little bit, but it's very important we see the process here. So we've got something that's called fire discipline, and what fire discipline means that each piece within the artillery, within that joint fires kind of system, they do what they need to do strictly in accordance with what is being asked on the ground. So I ask them for it, and they need to do exactly what I ask of them. They need to do it as quick as possible with the minimum of delay. And for that to happen, it's very clear who's in charge, who's responsible, who's accountable, and what everybody should do in response to that call for fire.
This is 4. Say again. Over. 4, this is 4-2. We are being flanked on all sides. About to be overrun. Target my location. Over.
Be easy to judge the company commander here for asking him again, but the company commander, he is the ground commander. He is the person whose head this is on. So he needs to hear that himself, and this makes perfect sense to me, him asking him to repeat.
3-4, negative. I can't do it. Over.
If you don't stop in the next 30 seconds, we'll all be dead. You understand me? Over.
Sir, we can't allow this.
Major's the commanding officer in the field. He'll make the call.
Right shout, right shout. I think this was the brigade commander at the time. Well, like I think that's a brigadier rank slide there. I think so. Can't remember. It's been so long since I've been out. But yes, the ground commander is the person who should be making the call, and he's absolutely right. Little condor moment here. An extremely effective way to clear your mind and to think about what is the right thing to do. You break yourself away. You go for a little walk. You maybe take a knee in a quiet place, take your headset off, and you just flush your mind of everything. And then you think, what is it I need to do? How should I be doing this here? He is potentially going to take Australian lives with his next decision. Potentially.
Call it in.
Boss, I am not taking the responsibility.
I'll take the bloody responsibility. Now call it in.
Great call. As shit as it is, it's a great call. Now, the thing to remember here is they've called artillery on their position. Artillery is not a precision target system. It is an area weapon. And the line where the gun comes from, that line from gun to target, where the round lands on the ground, it creates this little sausage of death. Imagine a long oval. And that is where the splinter, where the round could hit. Now, the round won't just always hit in the middle exactly where it's aiming. It will hit along that line. And that's called probable error in range. All different things can affect that. Simple things from like the barrel being used to met, how dense the air is. We take all of these measurements, but there's only so much we can eliminate it. And that probable error in range is often quite long, often over 100 meters. And you have a probable error in deflection as well. So that's where the round will go left and right of where it was aiming. Now that's lesser, but it is still an area. So whenever you're calling in the artillery, you have to have that sausage in your mind. Don't clip that and take advantage of me, but you have to be aware of what that area looks like. And what we typically do is we call in, we plot the target, we mark out a distance from our target away from us, what we believe is safe. That is the first point where we want the rounds to land, so they'll not land on the enemy to begin, and then we will slowly creep it into us. And I'm not going to go into detail about how we do it, but basically each one of these corrections is it's magnifying the potential that you or yourselves can get hurt. You or yourselves can be killed. Your buddies around you, but you're bringing it on top of the enemy, nice and slowly. Now, there's so many things here to consider. It is unbelievable. Just one I'll bring out. In fact, I'll bring out two. I'll bring out. So this is what we would class as a complex terrain engagement, in that your first rounds of artillery, where you throw them out to, you will not be able to see them hit. Because you're in the jungle, you will have an idea where they're going to hit. You will get a time of flight from the guns. So whenever the guns fire the bullet, it takes that bullet, let's just say 30 seconds to hit the ground and to impact. So how do you adjust a gun, the splash of it, whenever you can't see where the round is impacting? Well, you can do something, and again, don't clip this. This is such a kind of video where you're just going to be able to take a mick out of me. You do something called oral adjustment. I can't believe I'm saying this on the internet. You do something called oral adjustment. So you know the time of flight. You know how long that bullet's in the air. You have an idea where it's going to land. And what you do is you'll get called splash by the signaler. The signaler will tell you splash, which means it's 5 seconds before the round will impact. And you go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That's when the bang happens. And then you start counting 1, 2, 3, 4, until you get to the point where you hear the bang. Boom. Now, we know how fast sound travels. We know how fast it travels. And because you have your eyes closed and you're fixated on the area where you think the rounds will land, what you can do is you can turn towards where that blast was. And you then use the time that the blast took to get to you to figure out how far away it is. So you know the direction, you know the distance, you can then plot it on your map and you can decide what your next correction is going to be. I was doing these kind of things. I don't even have a GCSE in maths. I left school with no qualifications, and here's me in very risky situations doing complex terrain engagement adjustment with people's lives on the line. It is scary. It is scary stuff. Another thing you have to bear in mind is that the people who are aiming the guns, if they make one tiny mistake, that has such a huge effect on the ground. Now, for example, in the military, we work in mills. The mills is a distance of measure around in a circle. Now, for example, there's 17 mills. There's 17 mills in each degree. 17 mills in each degree. Now, 1 kilometer, 1 mil equals 1 meter. So if you aim 1 mil wrong, it equals 1 meter on the ground. If you're at 10 kilometers, that is magnified. If you're at 20 kilometers, it's magnified again. Let's work this out, because my brain doesn't work as well as it used to. So calculator. So 1 mil equals 1 meter at 1 kilometer. Times that by 20, that is 20 meters. So what that means is the person firing the gun, they can be just 1 degree out, and at 1 kilometer, that equals 17 meters. At 10 kilometers, that can equal 170 meters on the ground. Over 170 meters on the ground, just by being 1 degree out in where they're aiming. Now, whenever you consider that we would call artillery into within 50 meters of friendly troops, you've got that sausage of death, that possible error in range, that possible error in deflection. You've got that person laying the gun, firing the gun. You've got all different things about MET. The time of day, how cold the gun is, all of these things affect the accuracy of the artillery. So you are doing a constant risk assessment, constant assessment on each one of the guns. At some point, you might actually get one of the guns that ends up completely out. You'll have two guns that are nice and tight, one gun completely out. You have to figure out which gun it is, and you have to stop using that gun, because it could just send a round straight in amongst the guys. And it is such a complex, it is such a stressful. I don't know how I did it. I don't know how I did it, thinking about the age of me and the pressures that were upon me. But it was absolutely fascinating. So, ladies, gents, just a little video there, a detail into our world. Get this movie. This movie is absolutely fantastic. It is on Netflix. We should use it to remember those Australian veterans who fought in Vietnam. Sometimes they're forgotten, sadly. I think it happens in America as well, with a lot of the American troops who served in Vietnam. Thanks for checking in once again. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave that like, leave a comment if you want, and I'll catch you in the comment section. Have a good day. Goodbye.